Hi, so today we're doing set-driven keys. For those of you who don't know, it's just a really basic way to basically make a control that's more customized for the animator to use. So the first thing I want to go over is making a custom attribute. So for the first example, I'm going to show you guys how to make a foot roll control. So what you would do is you would go to the foot control and go into Edit, Add Attribute, and we're going to add foot roll, and we're going to do, what, -5 to 10? To 10. Okay. Had to think about that. Okay. So now this is on the foot control, and whenever the animator clicks it, it's like always there, and it just does numbers right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to set it up with a couple different poses, and then it'll do the basic foot roll of a walk cycle, and it makes it really nice and really clean for an animator to use. If you've used Goon, it's on there. Okay, so we're going to do Edit, Set Driven Key. Now this is your Set Driven Key window. There are certain ways that you can select the objects in the right order to make them show up in the right window when you open it, but I never remember that, so I use these little buttons down here. Our driver is going to be our foot control. So we will click on that in the viewport and then go to Load Driver, and it'll show up here. And on it, we're going to click on foot roll. Now the foot roll is going to control our locators that we have already put in the hierarchy. And we can click on all of those and load those into the driven. And on those, we will click on, let's rotate X, right? Are these hidden? Oh, they're so tiny.
Oh, yeah, they're really small, sorry.
Okay. So yeah. So those are what's already driving the foot roll and the foot movement. So that is rotate X. So when you do your set-driven keys, it's super important to remember to have everything selected before you key it. The first one we want to do is the basic flat foot on the ground pose. So we're going to key that at 0. So we have our foot control selected, foot roll is set to 0, and then we have it selected in the window, foot roll, all of these are selected, and rotate X is selected, so we key it. The next one we're going to do is we're going to come back to here, we're going to set this to -5, nothing's going to happen, but this one, we're going to put this back in the first foot roll position. We'll do even numbers. -40. Why? There we go. Okay. So then we come back to here, and everything is still selected, and we hit key. So now, when you go back to the foot roll, this will go into that position. This is in the way, my bad. But yeah. Okay, so then the next one we want to do is we're going to set this to 5. Go back to hue locator, make sure that's at 0. And rotate the ball locator. We'll do 45? Sure. And then we will key everything. And the next one, we're going to have to set this to 10. And go back to this one. 0 that out. And so we'll do that at 70. What did I do? Hang on. Why is it black? Okay. So now that that's at 70, and this is at 10, we can key that. And then this does this lovely little motion. So if you're not entirely satisfied with how smooth this is, you can then go up into your Windows animation editor, graph editor. Why is this down here? And we will do where is it? Just kidding. I hate this. Why is this like this? Okay, trying again. Theoretically, foot roll will be on here somewhere. Where's foot roll?
It's all those ones with rotate X under them.
These ones? Okay. So you can come in here and turn those to straight lines, and it'll make it look like a little bit prettier if you want, and mess with that. But that's the basic workflow of it. So yeah, set-driven keys are really good for doing, again, custom attributes that you want an animator to just have like one way of doing it. A way that I recently used it for was for my senior film, I had to do a lunchbox rig, and when I was doing it, the rotation for opening and closing the lunchbox didn't exactly make sense because they were like weird rotation values, and they weren't quite like, they were just hard to understand, and they didn't make sense with what it was doing. So I wanted to make a control that was really easy for an animator to use and that actually made sense with numbers that made sense. So all I did was I added a control, locked and hid the all the other rotations and translates and scales, and added this custom attribute for open and close. And I did that with set-driven keys. So now this way, when the open and close is at 0, the lunchbox is closed. When it's at 15, it's all the way open. And also, this is super helpful because now the lunchbox doesn't go more than it actually like physically can open, so there won't be any crazy freakouts or weird stuff like that. Yeah. So, and now it says open and close instead of like rotate X. But yeah, so another thing they're often used for is the finger scrunch, or to control like all of your fingers at once, or like a toe spread or something like that. But yeah, they're a super useful tool and can really help clean up your rig and make it a lot more animator friendly.